Let's start this lecture by establishing some of the basic facts about the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic lasted from 509 to 27 BC. King Tarquin's overthrow led to the founding of the Republic and the replacement of the monarchy with elected magistrates. The Republic was ended by Octavian's assumption of the title Augustus. Democracy was a key characteristic of the Roman Republic, but in emergency situations they would appoint a dictator. The Roman Empire, by contrast, was ruled over primarily by the emperor. Unlike the relatively peaceful Roman Empire, the Roman Republic was almost constantly at war, usually to expand its territory and zone of control. The Roman Republic was strictly divided by class into Patricians and Plebeians, who could not intermarry. Slavery was important in the Roman economy, as it had been to the ancient Greeks. Rome's origin story is a tale of two brothers called Romulus and Remus, who were abandoned to the wild at birth. They survived because they were taken in by a she-wolf who suckled them. When they were grown up, they argued about where to start a settlement. Remus wanted to build a city by the Tiber River for trade, and Romulus wanted to begin construction on a hill for defense. In the end, Romulus killed Remus and established Rome in its martial tradition where it is today. Rome was ruled by kings for generations until the tyrannical Tarquinius Superbus, whose son's rape of Lucretia brought down the monarchy. There were two main classes in Roman Republican society, the Patricians and the Plebeians, and they were involved in constant conflict, the latter being in ascendance. The Patricians were the noble class who could trace their ancestry back to the three original tribes of Rome who had founded the city. Plebeians, or plebs, were everyone out with this category, i.e. the majority, and they made gains on the patricians over the course of the Republic. For example, at first, the plebeians were excluded from democratic representation, which was reserved for nobles and military men. Even the military parliament, called the Assembly of the Centuries, which the plebeians could join if they embarked on an army career, disproportionately favoured the rich. Of 193 votes, the proletariat, or urban poor, held just one. The patricians, however, relied on the plebeians' consent to wage war because they made up the bulk of the military force. Therefore, they were granted the concession of a plebeian council, which elected representatives called tribunes to give voice to their concerns, and who had the power to veto the decisions of the consuls, which were the Roman equivalent of presidents. Unlike the Assembly of the Centuries, the plebeian council was uncomplicated and held straight yea or nay votes. They were the cornerstone of Roman democracy. Inevitably, the plebeian council developed a reputation for electing extremist tribunes who gained office through promises of handouts. However, these were often delivered on, and subsidized bread for the urban poor was common throughout the Republican period. It was important to keep the inhabitants of Rome, of which there were around 1 million at its ancient peak, happy, because a rebellion could spell disaster for the carefully balanced political system. The main political chamber of the Roman Republic was the Senate. Senators were elected around the age of 30 and held office for life, because the Senate was intended to be comprised of old men with experience. The Senate was strictly hierarchical, and discussion was led by the consuls, who were always first to speak, followed by the ex-consuls, and then the ex-ex-consuls, and so on. Bills were proposed and debated in the Senate, and the plebeian council of all citizens voted on these once their final form was decided. In this system, the House of Commons was in effect the House of Lords. There was a further parliament called the Tribal Assembly, in which people voted by tribes, i.e. districts of Rome. Each tribe got one vote, and both patricians and plebeians could participate. The Tribal Assembly could elect quaestors, which was the first rank in the cursus honorum hierarchy, which extended right up to senator based on seniority, i.e. age, and which all politicians had to make their way up through from the bottom. The influence of the Roman Republic is profound in the sphere of politics, so it is no surprise that its early years held significant interest for the most politically interested of playwrights, William Shakespeare and later Bertolt Brecht. Shakespeare set his last tragedy, Coriolanus, in the Republican Rome, and it centres on the duality of Roman virtue, which held military prowess and political excellence in equal esteem. The paradox of this is that in the hero-warrior Coriolanus, they are in direct opposition. His glory in battle translates to a disastrous political career. Like in no other Shakespeare play, class struggle is thrust into the spotlight, and the common man is given a coherent, if contradictory, voice in the exhilarating exchanges between citizen, patrician, and newly elected tribune in the opening scene. However, in Coriolanus, the plebeians are portrayed as unsophisticated and fickle, which was a problem Brecht would face in one of his last theatre productions, which sadly never came to fruition on account of his failing health and the disintegrating political situation in the German Democratic Republic.